Hi everyone, today I'm doing a tufted mirror using crystal buttons. Tufted mirrors can cost a pretty penny, just showing you some examples here. This is about the size of the one I'm working with today, 43 by 31 inches. And you see, they are truly expensive. Now this is what I'm using, and it's suitable because it has a fairly wide frame. It's 4 inches wide. Now these are the tools you will need: a pliers, a utility knife, a staple gun with your staples, of course. You definitely will need a drill with a small drill bit. Just giving you a close-up there. You also will need upholstery needles. I got these at Joann's Fabric. There are 3 in the pack and they were $4.99. I used a 50% off coupon. That was good. I'm using these crystal buttons. Now I wouldn't recommend these because these are like regular buttons and was pretty tough stringing 100 plus tiny buttons. Because of that, I had to use this thread. It's outdoor thread. I can't remember how much I got this for, but it wasn't a lot of money. You will need pins, of course, and a scissors. For the tufting on the mirror, you are going to need foam, and this is 1 3/4 inch foam, batting, and of course your fabric. Start by removing the hardware from the mirror. I had to use a flathead screwdriver to help me get rid of the staples. The utility knife is what I use to remove that paper from the back, and we will need to replace that. Mirrors are generally held in with staples to secure them. Be very careful when you're taking those out. Once that was done, I laid the mirror onto 2 chairs as you see there, and then I spread the fabric over the mirror. Now I lost the footage for that, so I'm using a different fabric to show you what I did. Make sure when you cut the fabric, you leave enough to fold under the mirror when you're done with the tufting. I also pinned the fabric onto the foam at the 4 corners. Now I didn't cut the fabric in the middle because in the end it kind of helped me to hold the buttons while I was doing the tufting. I left that for the last. Now for the instructions to put the holes in, I pre-recorded that while I was doing it, so here goes.
Found the center of the frame. Then I decided how much spacing I wanted to put in between them, and you have to work it that it's even or somewhat even, and then you just measure from there outward and make your little dots. You also have to make sure that the measurement from the edge to there is the same too. I'm measuring 1/2 inch from the edge here and 3 inches apart. So I just do that 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches all the way down. Now when you get to your second row, you start in the center of between these 2 points, and you come up right in the center, and it's going to be the same distance that's between here. That's going to be the distance up to the second row. And once you hit that, then you do your 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches until the end.
Now for the third row, you're going to go directly above a dot in your first row, making sure you are 1/2 inch from the edge of the mirror, 1/2 inch because that's the measurement I'm using for this mirror. And then that's going to be your first dot for the third row. Then you just do your 3 inch spacing. Every 3 inch you make your new dot. Every 3 inch you make your new dot. Next I move to drilling the holes, and I kind of prop it up on some books, and you should make sure you don't miss any holes, because if you do, it's going to be hell to pay when you start tufting and there are holes not drilled. Now onto the foam, I just lay the mirror on top, make sure it's even to the edges. I use a marker to outline that, and then I simply cut that out. Fairly simple, guys. Measuring to make sure it fits. I used the E6000 glue to glue that onto the frame. And this is what it looks like after I've glued the foam on and trimmed the excess off the edges. Just make sure where you have connections there, where you have them joint, that you glue into the joint as well. Next, you move to the batting. So basically covering the foam with the batting using your stapler. I only staple the outer edges. I don't want to have a lot of bulk where the mirror is gonna sit once I put it back in. This is what it looks like. When I'm done with the tufting, I plan on trimming off the excess of the batting on the inner edge there, just to make sure it's not too bulky. So here I am now starting the tufting. You are going to be inserting the needle from underneath the mirror, and you're going to push that up with the eye of the needle coming upward. Then you string the button through that, and then you pull that thread back down through the hole. So you are going to pull the needle out all together. Let me show you that from another angle. I found that it was much easier doing the tufting when I stood the mirror up. Now initially when I started the tufting with the mirror laying on the chairs, I put in almost half of them at one point, and then when I tried to lift it up to lay it down to do the stapling, they fell out. So this is what it looks like when the string is pulled through. So here I'm only doing a few at a time. I did about 10 each time, then I laid flat and pull the strings firmly to get the tufted look and staple the strings down to the frame. That's it with the staples on. I didn't cut the strings. I wanted to leave it overnight to see if they would loosen. They didn't. And just to give you an idea of what it should look like when you start the tufting. Once I completed the tufting, I moved to cutting out the excess material I had in the middle there. Just make sure you don't cut too close to the edge of the mirror, because remember you're going to be stapling that at the underside, and this is where I cut out the excess batting that I had left there. So I just flipped it over, stood in the middle, and just stapled that on. Now in terms of putting the mirror back together, I bought these L brackets, I think they are, and I put one at each corner of the mirror. Then I put back the cardboard strip that was there and used these tiny finishing nails in place of the staples. And this is the finished product, guys. So I generally get a lot of questions about how much the projects cost me. So let me just go over that quickly. I bought 2 yards of fabric, and that was $10. I bought a yard of batting for $5. The foam was the most expensive. That was $15 for just a yard and a half. And the buttons I got from Amazon. There were 100 in a pack for $5.88. I got 2 packs. Like I mentioned earlier, I would not recommend these. These were like regular buttons, so you had to spend a lot of time stringing them, and I had to use a very fine thread, and that kind of had some challenges in terms of me stapling it to the back of the picture frame. I'm sorry, the frame of the mirror. The thread was $3.29, and the pack with the 4 brackets I put on the rear of the mirror was $2.50. The mirror, I should have mentioned earlier, was not at all new. I've had this mirror for about 5 years and just wanted to update it. Overall, that comes to I think $48. Thank you for watching. Bye now.